Steelers Nation, buckle up, because what's happening right now isn't coincidence seeds, transformation. 4 weeks into the season, and the black and gold aren't just surviving, they're dominating. Before the year started, everybody said this division already had a champion, that our team was just a side note. But here we are, sitting at the top of the AFC North, proving the script has flipped and all the momentum is on our side. And what we just saw in the last game was exactly that. An offense that bulldozed one of the most respected defenses in the league with pure brute force, heavy sets, fearless runs, and holes being opened like it was nothing. This wasn't finesse, it was physical. It was Steelers football in its purest form, the kind that makes opponents question their own toughness on defense. A masterclass in creativity, scheme changes, pressure from every angle, disguises that kept the opposing quarterback guessing all night. He looked lost, not knowing where the next hit was coming from. It was intensity, it was organized chaos, the exact kind of defense that carries our identity, family. This is only the beginning. The fire is lit, and this season promises even bigger moments ahead. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe this Steelers team is the one to beat in the division? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your voice is part of this journey. And don't forget, smash that like button to show the power of the most passionate fan base in the entire NFL. Steelers Nation! Let me hit you with something that might surprise a lot of people outside of Pittsburgh. 4 weeks into the season, the black and gold are not just surviving, they're thriving. And right now, they look like the team to beat in the AFC North. Before the season, everyone and their neighbor said the Ravens were going to run away with the division, that the Steelers didn't have a shot. But here we are, 4 games in. And it's Pittsburgh at 3-1, sitting on top of the standings, while Baltimore and Cleveland both sit at 1-2-3, and Cincinnati is hanging on for dear life without Joe Burrow. The script has flipped, and the momentum is all in Pittsburgh's hands. And here's the kicker: what we just saw against the Minnesota Vikings wasn't luck, wasn't a fluke. It was the kind of performance that makes you think this team is just getting started. Think about the context. The Vikings came into the game with one of the top-ranked defenses in the NFL. Brian Flores had that unit playing fast and aggressive. And yet, Arthur Smith's offense absolutely dismantled them, especially in the run game, even without Jaylen Warren. The Steelers were bullying Minnesota's front seven with jumbo looks that featured Spencer Anderson lined up as an extra offensive lineman, and Darnell Washington blowing defenders off the line like they were high school kids. 17 snaps with Anderson on the field, 14 of them runs, and the Vikings simply couldn't handle it. Add in the nasty blocks from Ben Skowronek's ceiling edges, and suddenly, Pittsburgh's ground game looked like it belonged in the highlight reel of Smash Myth football. This wasn't finesse. This was black and gold, brute force, the kind of football that gets opposing defenses questioning their toughness, and then you sprinkle in the passing attack. Aaron Rodgers is not being asked to be Superman in Pittsburgh, and that's exactly why this offense is working. He's first in the NFL in average time to throw at 2.52 seconds, which means the ball is out fast, sacks are minimized, and playmakers get to do their job. The trade-off? He's last in average depth of target, but that's by design. And if it sounds familiar, it should. Tom Brady made a career out of doing the exact same thing in his later years. Dicing defenses with quick decisions and precision throws. Rodgers has embraced that style, and the results speak for themselves. Pittsburgh is first in the league in yards after catch, thanks in no small part to DK Metcalf. We saw it perfectly against Minnesota with that 80-yard slant where Rodgers hit him in stride, and Metcalf turned into a runaway freight train. That's exactly what this offense needed: efficiency, timing, and a superstar who can take a 5-yard pass and turn it into 6 points. Now, let's flip it over to the defense, because if the offense showed toughness, the defense showed creativity. For 3 weeks, Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin were rolling with a 5-man front. Against Minnesota, they changed everything. 91% of the snaps were out of a 4-man front, and the difference was staggering. The Steelers unleashed wave after wave of blitzes, disguises, and wide 9 alignments that left Carson Wentz looking like he had no idea where the pressure was coming from. TJ Watt had one-on-one opportunities because linebackers and defensive backs were lining up outside of him, forcing tight ends and running backs to make impossible decisions. And then there was Deshaun Elliott, who was used like a heat-seeking missile. He blitzed 20 times in that game alone, constantly crashing into the backfield. And he was the spark plug that transformed this defense into the chaotic, suffocating unit we all know it can be. Honestly, Elliott is playing the role many thought Jalen Ramsey would have before his injury, and he's thriving in it.
Patrick Queen continues to look like the quarterback of this defense, flying around against the run and getting guys aligned, while rookie Peyton Wilson bounced back with a strong performance after some shaky starts earlier in the year. Yes, there were some lapses. Darius Slay's coverage bust that led to Jordan Addison's 81-yard catch was a glaring reminder that communication still needs work, but overall, this was as dominant and inventive as we've seen this defense in years. It looked more like a Brian Flores defense than Flores' actual defense in Minnesota, and that should give Steelers fans goosebumps about what's possible moving forward, especially once Joey Porter Jr. returns. So, here we are, Pittsburgh on top of the AFC North, the Ravens limping through injuries, the Bengals without their franchise quarterback, and the Browns still searching for an offense that works. The Steelers haven't had a home playoff game in far too long, and if they keep this trajectory, not only are they in line for one, but they could finally shake off the frustration of those early playoff exits on the road in hostile stadiums. Imagine Heinz Field in January, terrible towels twirling, Renegade blasting, Aaron Rodgers managing the game, DK Metcalf breaking tackles, TJ Watt feasting on quarterbacks. It's the kind of scene that feels inevitable if this team keeps playing like it did in Week 4. But that's where I want to hear from you, Steelers Nation. Do you believe this team will finish the job and win the AFC North? Can Rodgers and this offense keep the balance and efficiency rolling? Can Tomlin's defense continue to confuse and crush opponents down the stretch? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Give me a yes or a no. Because right now, all signs point to the Steelers being in the driver's seat. But the story is only just beginning, and it's going to be one wild ride. And here's the thing, Steelers Nation, momentum is powerful in the NFL, but it's also fragile. Pittsburgh sits at 3-1, and that feels great, but the memories of last year should still sting for all of us. Remember that 10-3 start? Remember how it felt like the division crown was ours, only to see the team sputter down the stretch and let it all slip away? That collapse has to serve as a lesson this time. Mike Tomlin knows it, the veterans know it, and you can bet every player in that locker room understands the margin for error is slim in this league. The difference now, though, is that this group feels more complete, more balanced, and frankly more dangerous than what we saw last season. Offensively, Arthur Smith deserves credit for building an identity that fits the personnel. Running the ball with power and mixing in zone looks keeps defenses guessing. And when you add in jumbo packages with Spencer Anderson acting as an extra lineman, it's like telling defenses, we're going to smash you in the mouth, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's Pittsburgh Steelers football, plain and simple. And then there's Darnell Washington, who at times looks less like a tight end and more like an unstoppable force. Watching him drive defensive backs out of the picture like rag dolls is the kind of physical dominance that gets teammates fired up and opponents worn down. When your offense can bully teams at the line of scrimmage, you control the tempo, you dictate the terms, and you impose your will. But what makes this offense different from old-school Steelers football is the efficiency of Aaron Rodgers. He's not putting up wild, video game numbers, but he's playing smart, clean, veteran football. Quick reads, decisive throws, keeping the offense on schedule. This is the version of Rodgers that maximizes the weapons around him. And don't overlook the fact that this system is protecting him, too. Less time holding the ball means fewer hits, fewer sacks, and more opportunities for guys like DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin III to do damage after the catch. When Rodgers plays like Brady did in Tampa, efficient, accurate, opportunistic, it gives this team a championship-caliber balance. On the defensive side, what's happening is even more fascinating. For years, critics said Tomlin and Terrell Austin were too stubborn, too rigid, unwilling to adjust. Well, what did we just see against Minnesota? A complete philosophical shift from 5-man to 4-man fronts, and with it came an explosion of creativity. Wide 9 alignments giving Watt and Herbig better lanes. Blitz packages from linebackers and safeties that made Carson Wentz look lost. Stunts and disguises that made the Vikings' offensive line play like they'd never seen a blitz before. That's not stubborn football, that's adaptive, aggressive football. And it worked to near perfection. Deshaun Elliott deserves a spotlight here. 20 blitzes in one game. 20. That's unheard of for a defensive back, and yet he thrived in that role, constantly pressuring, constantly disrupting. He's not just filling a role, he's redefining it. And when you have a guy like Patrick Queen anchoring the middle, barking orders, and flying downhill, the whole front 7 plays with a confidence that feeds into itself. Add in Peyton Wilson bouncing back with a strong game and the potential of Joey Porter Jr. returning soon, and you can see the outline of a defense that could very well become the best in football down the stretch. Of course, there are still concerns. Darius Slay's repeated coverage busts can't be ignored. Veteran or not, those mistakes cost games, and they can't keep happening. If this team wants to make the leap from playoff hopeful to legitimate contender, communication in the secondary has to tighten up. Mistakes like that are the difference between a routine win in October and a devastating loss in December. And let's not forget the landscape of the AFC North. Baltimore is reeling with injuries, Lamar Jackson dealing with a hamstring, Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey out multiple weeks, and a defense that ranks near the bottom of the league. Cincinnati is without Joe Burrow for months, leaving them scrambling to find answers on offense while their defense has been leaky. Cleveland, great defense, no offense to speak of, and that imbalance isn't sustainable. The door is wide open for Pittsburgh, but that door can slam shut quickly if the team takes its foot off the gas. So here's the bottom line. This is Pittsburgh's division to lose. They've got the balance, the momentum, and the blueprint to finish what they started last season. The question is, will they stay locked in, week after week, and keep stacking wins until that AFC North crown is finally back where it belongs?